Welcome back to another Market Movers tutorial video. My name is Tyler Nethercott, better known as T-Pott, and this week it is all about that old investment principle, buy low, sell high. And the best way to do that is to use our price movements pages. Let's go over and take a look at those. In order to get to our price movements, you simply come over here on the dollar icon, and you'll see four options: price movements by player, price movements by card, sales volume by player, and sales volume by card. I'm going to go ahead and click on price movements by player. And what you'll see when you come over here to price movements by player, I'll just walk you through this screen, is basically a bunch of filter options. You can filter by sport, you can filter by year, you can add in multiple years and multiple sports. You can filter by grade, including selecting graded cards only, which is a thing that I like to do a lot. You can filter by set, by variation, by player, and you can even set your minimum and maximum price threshold for the cards that you're interested in looking at. And right away, it's going to come in here and it's going to have this data sorted from greatest to least, starting with the last 7 days time frame. So we're talking about sales that occurred in the last 7 days. One thing that's really important when you're looking at this screen is that we actually filter this data by default based on the number of sales. And we do that so that one-off sales and big outliers don't end up hitting the top trends on here, but you can always clear that data out. So all you have to do is click on this filter and remove this number and hit search, and it's going to refresh the data for you with all the cards with any sales over the last 7 days. And so what I'm going to do is just come in here and scroll and just sort of see who's trending, which cards are trending, which players. You'll notice that Jordan Clarkson's at the top. His one card that we have in Market Movers right now, which is his Prism base card in Raw, has gone up 61% in the last week. And this is just a great way to come in and kind of see where prices are going for specific players and kind of to ask yourself why. Is there any reason you can think of why a particular player's prices might be going up over time? So as I scroll through this list, Miles Sanders, running backs, they start catching momentum, I think, before the season starts. He was a guy last year that, people were kind of high on. He had some injury problems, underperformed, but Jalen Hurts looks like the real deal. Maybe that's why people are investing in Miles Sanders. Bobby Witt, I heard, smoked a massive home run during spring training. He's obviously a young prospect in baseball that people are really high on. So again, you can just kind of keep scrolling down here and see which players' prices have been going up the most over time. Now, when I write our weekly card picks for our members, this is really where I usually start. I might have a sport in mind, and that could be depending on what's upcoming for those sports or which time of the year it is. Just maybe I like to vary it from week to week. But I can come in here and filter by sport, and then I actually change my filter here so that I sort from least to greatest so that I can see which players' prices are down over time. But before I do that, I usually really like to look at the last 30 days. So I'm going to click on last 30, and then I'm going to change my grade selection to graded cards only. I prefer to look at graded cards only. If you're into raw cards, you can certainly do that. It's just that raw card movements, especially on the lower dollars with shipping not factored into those prices, can look like higher price fluctuations. So just to compare apples to apples, I go for graded cards only. And then I'm going to change my sort sequence here from greatest to least to greatest. And so you can see that Charles Woodson, over the last 30 days, Charles Woodson, whose prices went up after the Hall of Fame announcement about Charles Woodson, his cards have now come back down to earth. So I can click to expand this, and then I can take a look. Okay, which cards are in here? I know that Topps Chrome is a big deal. Really, all of these sets for Charles Woodson are a pretty good, choice. And then you get these options, the same as what you would see on other screens in Market Movers. You can chart this card. So I'm going to click on this, and it'll take me right out to his popular card chart. And I can kind of see what's happening with this price over time. I can even change my parameters here. And you'll notice, by default, when you go to popular card charts, it takes you to the last 90 days. But when you use the price movements quick chart icon, it's going to actually use the same time frame that you had selected. So I was on last 30 days, and here it's coming over and showing me the last 30 days. And that looks a little funny because February obviously isn't a 30-day month. So every time I see that, it throws me off a little bit. But this is going to match the time frame, the same as what you're looking at on price movements by player. You can obviously update that. I'm going to close this. and then you can, go and look for this card on eBay for sale. And so that's usually the approach that I take to thinking about, okay, what's happening with this card? Get me more into detail. I'll come back over here. Maybe I want to go back and I want to actually look at the last 90 days and I want to see where this card's high was. So this is a really typical trend for cards that sort of catch on and catch fire, is that they might be flat for a long time. And then something happens in the sports world, some kind of attention on a player, on, in the news, a Hall of Fame announcement, and boom, this player's card prices spike because people are kind of trying to play the hype game. And then it's going to come back down to earth. Now, Charles Woodson, soon to be Hall of Famer, one of the all-time greats in terms of defensive backs. This is almost back down to where it was before that peak started. So when I'm looking at this card, I might say, okay, super low population, 170 or 279. I'm really interested in this guy's cards. I think it's a great, blue chip investment over time. I can click on the little for sale on eBay icon and come out here and I can look for one for sale. Now it looks like, it's a pretty short printed card, pretty low population. Not a lot of them out there for deals. Looks like 500 is the lowest. I'm more interested in buying at 300, maybe 400 even. So I'm not going to buy at this time, but that's how you can approach this to buy low when it comes to using price movements by player. And the same thing if you had like a particular player that you've been stockpiling, you can always come in here and sort by that particular player. If it was Albert Pujols, if it was Zion Williamson, whomever, you can put that player in and see what's going on with their card prices at a macro level. Now, let's say that I'm only interested in cards that are, somewhere between $100 and $500. And where this is really nice is, let's say you're thinking about buying a particular player's card, or you're thinking about selling a particular card. When you set this filter by average sale range, you're actually able to come in and compare other cards within a similar price range to whatever one you're thinking about buying or selling. So I think about this in terms of opportunity cost, and I've written a lot about that. When I was seeing, Keldon Johnson's PSA 10 Prism Silver cards selling for $750, $800, $900, and then I went in here and I looked at other cards in that same price range and what I could get for it, that was when I was really saying I would be selling Keldon Johnson. The prices just seemed way too high to me. And I don't bring that up to bash on Keldon Johnson. I think he's got a really bright future. But the point being is, this lets you kind of see the card market through a much different lens. It lets you come in and say, what is my $500 going to get me? What's my $100, going to get me? And if you set a range like this, and you're sorting by, let's say you sort by, by average sale, or you're just looking at this screen, you can kind of say, okay, Barry Sanders, I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to try to find some of his cards that are in this average sale range. And I can see that I can get his, Pro Set base PSA 10. I could pick up a couple of these for $500, or I can come up here and I can look at OG Anunoby's cards, and I could pick up, 5 or 6 of these. So you're sort of comparing how do I want to allocate my funds, because none of us has an unlimited checkbook. So how do I want to spread out my portfolio? How do I want to spend that money? This is just a great way to compare and contrast cards within similar price ranges. And you'll note a really cool feature over here too is this download to CSV. So if you're more of a number cruncher and you want to be able to do more with this in your own in a spreadsheet, you can download this data to CSV and open it up in Microsoft Excel, Google Sheets, etc. So let's jump over to a different screen, and that's going to be the price movements by card. Now, same format here as price movements by player, the main difference being this is at a card level. It's all the way at an individual card level. And so as I scroll down again through this, I can kind of ask myself, what's going on here? Oh, Blake Griffin. Yeah, just big change of scenery from my Detroit Pistons over to the Brooklyn Nets, and good for Blake. I hope that he, blossoms there. I hope that he has a chance at a title. Wish nothing best but the best for Blake. But again, you can see his cards are really going up in price. His Topps base card in Raw has gone up significantly, 543%. And then scrolling down, I can see like Anthony Simons, for example. Obviously winning the slam dunk contest, which I thought it was kind of a snoozer of a slam dunk contest, cramming it at a halftime show, but he did win. And so you can see his prices went up a little bit. Maybe that just puts some attention back on him. People see his athleticism, they know he can shoot, so his card prices are going up. But again, this screen's going to work just like price movements by player, and this is actually even more powerful when it comes to comparing specific cards in a price range to see what you're going to do, because you're even going to get it down to that specific card level right from this screen. So the sales volume pages, sales volume by player and sales volume by card, are going to show you just the counts, the number of sales happening for all the different cards that we have in Market Movers. So once this page loads, here we have LaMelo Ball, not Lonzo, sorry Jeff, LaMelo Ball, who has had the greatest number of sales over the last 7 days, and that is his Hoops Base Raw rookie card. And it's really interesting because if I click on this chart, you'll see, many of you probably know this already, how far this card has come down in value. I'm going to change my time frame, and I'll just do last 90, even though it hasn't been out for that long. And this is an important lesson. Do not fall into the trap of buying rookie cards right when they come out, and really do not buy Hoops Raw rookie cards right when they come out for sure, because this is you would see this on every player, and this is what happens. And you have even more products this year sort of crammed in. Like normally you have that Hoops product coming out before the NBA season starts, kind of in the fall or right when the NBA kicks off. This year with the COVID schedule and everything being changed, the product release schedules were altered. People knew that you had Donruss coming out right after this, Revolution, Prism won't be too much longer. So this is really normal. I mean, crazy that this card was selling for over $100 right out of the gate, and then down in the 70s, 60s, and it's just been a free fall. And you can see down $100, down 80% since this card came out, now down to $25. And really, this is the kind of card that if you were buying, you really only want to be buying this graded, just because it can be kind of condition sensitive, and there's so many of them in a raw format that over time they're really not going to hold a lot of value. So that's a great way to come in and just see which cards are selling the most. And it can also be an indicator, and usually it's going to be raw cards, but again, you can use your graded card filter. Let's say I want to click on this and I want to see graded cards only. And then once it loads, you can kind of see, which graded ones are selling. And again, it's going to be the Prisms. We know that there's a lot of Prism-based cards graded, and those are the ones that are highly liquid. They're really like the investment vehicle for a lot of people who like to flip and play the short game. So no surprise seeing Prism-based cards, sort of dominating the top of this list. Now the last price movements page that I want to show you, really cool. If you come up here to the My Collection icon, we actually have a My Price Movements. And this is going to show you all the cards in your collection with a price movement screen, just only with the cards that you have in your My Collection portfolio. And I don't have that many cards in my portfolio, but again, you can see this screen loads. It's showing all the same icons. It's showing that I have a price alert set up, that I have it in my collection, that I've favorited this card, and it's going to show you all that same data so that you can look and see how has it performed over time. So I hope that's helpful. Price movements is a really exciting way to stay on top of the market, to stay on top of what's hot, who's hot, which cards are doing what. And again, buy low, sell high. If you have any questions about price movements, about how they work, this is certainly something that we'll be getting more into in future live streams, deep dive videos, but I wanted to make sure that you understood how to use the price movement screen, because sometimes it can be a little underutilized and it is extremely, extremely powerful. So again, if you have questions, email us at help@sportscardinvestor.com. Go ahead and leave a comment down below, and please like this video, comment and subscribe, smash that bell icon, and I'll talk to you next time.